We're going to look at factoring a quadratic expression. Now there's lots of ways to factor. This is just one way. So I have my quadratic, and we need to remember what a quadratic is. So we have ax squared plus bx plus c. So whatever's in front of the x squared is a, whatever's in front of the x is b, and then our c is going to be by itself, so the constant. So here we have an example, 6x squared plus 5x minus 4, and we're going to factor it. Now again, there's lots of different ways, but I'm just going to show you one method that I like to use. This is, in this, I drew an x, and in this first spot, I want to do a times c. So a is 6, c is negative 4, so that's negative 24. And then in this part, I'm going to put my b, which is 5. Okay. Now, I want to look at my other two spots, and I want to know what will multiply and give me negative 24 and add or subtract and give me a 5, and it's a positive 5. So this is what I want to figure out. Now if you're not very good at factoring, now we could do this by hand. 24 is not a real big number, but if you're not very good at it, I'm going to show you a way of using your graphing calculator. And we're going to go to y equals, and I'm going to put negative 24 divided by x and put that under my y sub 1. So again, I went to y equals, and then we're going to put this in, what happens to be that a times c, and we're going to divide it by x. Then I'm going to go to second graph, which will bring up a table. So here we have a table. Now I'm looking for integers that multiply and give me 24. So here we can see we have 1 and negative 24. So I'm going to write those here. 1 times negative 24. And we have 2 and negative 12. We have 3 and negative 8. We have 4 and negative 6. And then we can scroll down. Now this is not whole numbers, so we're going to ignore 5. We have 6 and negative 4. Now that's, as you can see, just switch the signs here, and so you're going to see this with 8 negative 3, and then we're going to have 12 negative 2. So we'll scroll on down, and then I think 24 will be our last one. 24 negative 1. Okay, 24 negative 1. And so when we multiply these pairs, we're going to get a negative 24. Now which one of these, if we add or subtract, and I'm sorry, there's a glare on that. Let's see if I can fix that a little bit. Maybe turn my lamp. Okay. There we go. So there's our factors. And which one of these we could add and get a 5? So let's look at what we have. And it's a positive 5. So I'm looking at 8 and negative 3 right here, because we can actually add those together and get a positive 5 and multiply those and get a negative 24. So that's what goes here. So again, these should multiply to give you this number and add to give you this number. Now once I have those, I'm going to go to what I call the box method, or what's called the box method. I didn't come up with this. So now I'm going to take this first term and put it in the first box. I'm going to take this last term and it's going to go in the last box. And then in the two leftover boxes, I'm putting my 8, broke my lead, my 8 and negative 3, and these are x's, because these two should give me 5x, and they do if I add those together. Okay. So at this point, we're going to look at this row, and I want to find the greatest common factor. What can I divide out of both of these? So I can divide an x out of them, and I can divide a 3. Okay. I'm going to look at my second row, And I'm going to say, okay, what's my greatest common factor here? And it looks like 4. So I can factor a 4 out. I'm going to look at this column. And it looks like I can factor a 2x out of both of those. And then here, I can factor really just a negative out, or a -1. -1. Okay. So plus 3x plus 4, 3x plus 4 times 2x minus 1, and this should be the factor of our original quadratic expression. Now you should be able to multiply this back and get this up here. If not, then we did something wrong. So that's using a box method and a part of an AC method, if you want to call it AC method. Again, there's lots of different ways to do factoring. If you find one that works, please use it. And hopefully this will help with any questions you may have as far as factoring.